Hello everyone, I'm Rich Lamont. Welcome back to my fly tying channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. So I put this channel together to share my love of salmon flies and fly tying. There's a little bit of something for everybody here. I do showcase a lot of, very artsy, very specific, hard to tie salmon flies, but I also do tie a lot of Pacific Northwest patterns, spay flies, D flies, things like that. So if you've got any flies that you'd like to see tied, something that you'd like to learn a little bit more about, by all means, please reach out to me, leave a message, comment in my videos, just leave a request. I'm happy to get to them. All that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Let's get on with it. Okay everyone, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time. So today we're going to switch gears just a little bit. This is still going to be a salmon fly, but I'm actually going to tie a fly from the book Hardy's Salmon Flies. This one is going to be the Brora. Now it's not the Brora that you all typically know, the one with the blue in the wing, more of a space style fly. This one is actually a salmon fly from the Hardy's book. This is more of the original. And before we get started, I'd like to read a little excerpt for you. There are two flies with this name. Neither was ever listed in the catalogs. The first is described in this dressing from the notebooks, where it's recorded as a Brora. It is in fact a second of the nondescript described by Francis for the river Brora, except that bustard or teal has been used instead of pintail in the wing. Then there's the recipe for the fly that we're going to tie right now, and then right following that it says, the second is a very different fly which is thought may have been designed by Charles Aykroyd in a description that was given by Frederick Hill in 1948, but the dressing here is from the notebooks where it is recorded to quote-unquote to pattern February 1939. Now that one is the one that you typically know with the blue in the wing. That one I will tie eventually here on the channel, but for now we are going to tie the original Hardy's, which does have a very different look to it and I thought was very neat. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get started. The tip is silver tinsel. So here I'm just using small Vivas. You guys can see the label there. And you can see I've ended the gut right here, right about above the hook point. So that's where we're going to start our tinsel. Tie it in from there. We'll wrap back. Roughly right about the gutter, or quote-unquote Barb Valley, as I've called it before. And we'll do we'll do 4 turns. 3 to 5 is kind of the standard on these. Three looks pretty good actually. Yeah, let's stay with 3. 4 looks like overkill. This is one I've never tied before, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how it turns out. And we wrap that right back up to that gut. Now, as I've said before, try to have a spare set of scissors or an older set of scissors that you have just for cutting tinsel. Tinsel will tear your scissors up, so having a pair that you don't mind tearing up is not a bad plan. So I'll go back a little bit, get just before that hook point, and the tag is orange floss. So for the floss, I'm using the same as my previous video. This is a Chinese mulberry floss. It is silk, but it's not the typical Japanese silk that I use. I'm not sure if the camera picks it up, but it is somewhat twisted, so you do have to untwist it. And if you want it a little thinner, you can separate it. It is a 2-strand. And this is available on Etsy. believe it was about, I want to say, it worked out to be about $1 a spool, but you get quite the assortment for, I don't know, I think it's like $50. And you get quite an assortment of colors. So now as you wrap it, you may have to untwist it a little bit, as I had said, just to get it to lay a little bit flatter. And you want to wrap that till about even with the hook point. You can probably go a little bit beyond it, but I'm going to end right at the hook point and then back wrap just a little. And by back wrapping, that's just going to ensure that I have a nice smooth transition into the next material. Which in this case will just be the butt. There's the tail and then the butt. So it's not really going to make that huge of a difference, but it's good practice for doing like double bodies. And alright, the tail is a topping, which, like in my previous video, we're just going to take it right off of the crest here, right off the head. And I like to use these, for these smaller size flies, I like to use these right up front. See on the length of that. It's actually a little short. And that one's a little long. Hopefully this next one will be just right. If it's a little long, we can compensate for that, but it's a little bit easier having the right length to start. It's a little bit long, but we can work with it. Alright, so now you see how it's got a little bit of a deviation to the left. And you can take this, pinch it right where that deviation starts, and twist your stem. Just like so. And that will help kind of straighten that out a little bit. If it's got a little kink, you can use your fingernail and just kind of mash it a little bit. That'll give you your nice curve that you want. I like that. So I'm going to strip away the fluff. And then towards the base, where I'm going to tie in, I'm just going to snip away some of these other fibers here. And by snipping them away, you're leaving little stubs from those fibers that your thread can grab onto, and that'll keep it from pitching and rolling on you while you're tying. Now, I'm not going to pay attention to, smooth floss and everything being perfect, because I think this one's going to go into the fly box. Put that away. The butt is made of black ostrich herl. So once you get your piece of herl, strip away right at the base just a tiny little bit. Use a little bit of wax. And then we'll tie that in right here. And when you tie it in, you want to make sure that the fuzzier side is facing down and the actual quill is facing up. And you can just take that And I'm going to make this butt just a little bit thicker, just because. Believe it or not, the butt is actually designed to move water a certain way. I'll trim away the rest. And I'm going to fill this in right here just a little bit and thicken it up. Alright, the ribbing is going to be medium Vivis silver tinsel. And here's the label with the model number. And this we're also going to tie in right to that gut. And then we'll wrap this all the way forward. Excuse me, not all the way. I'm going to go halfway. This is a 50-50 orange silk, and then the rest is black seal's fur. Now we're not going to go quite 50%. We're going to go about 40%. This might be closer to 45, but reason being is, you know, if you do a true 50-50 body with your wing and your hackle and everything up front, it's going to make the rest of the body look a little bit short, this front section. So by shortening the rear and lengthening the front, you'll actually get more of a proper 50-50 look to it. Now we'll tie in the orange floss, which again is that same orange Chinese mulberry silk. And twist it just a little. I've gotten questions before about this bobbin. This is an Anadromous Fly Tool bobbin. It's just one of their midge bobbins. So it's got a much shorter tube on it. Nothing overly special. Okay, get our thread back. I'm going to go just like that, just so we can tie this off a little bit better. I'm going to provide a nicer rear section. Okay, now the front body portion is seal's fur. Now I have black seal's fur here. I get all my seal's fur from feathersmc.com. John McClain has quite a selection of different colors, and the price isn't bad, and what you get for, I think this is $4 per color. Really not that bad at all. So as you saw, I just put a little wax on the thread, and then we'll take black seal's fur. Now seal's fur can be a little bit finicky and interesting to dub onto your thread. So when you're doing it, make sure you've got wax on there, and always spin in the same direction. Don't go back and forth like this, otherwise you'll just wind up you'll wind up with it everywhere, and it won't wind up wrapping to the thread properly. And you can do it loose, you can do it tight, it's really up to you. If you noticed in the intro, the photo of the fly from the book, the hook shank is a little on the shorter side than this hook. I didn't have the exact match of the hook for this. So this is a Phillips of Dublin number 6, which equates to about a 2.0. But the shank is a little on the long side compared, so I'm just kind of compensating and making up for that. Hopefully it turns out quite all right. Move it off of there. Okay, now we'll bring our tinsel up, which we can do. Typically 5 is the norm. So let's see if we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll tie off on number 6. Now it lists it doesn't list a throat, it lists a speckled guinea as a collar. So, see, this one's a bit on the long side, but it might work. I like this one. So what we'll do with the guinea is, now this is a crested guinea fowl. And you want to use the speckled one that looks like this, not the spotted one, which is more black with just solid spots. If you reference the photo in the beginning, you'll see what I mean. Now there's 2 ways of doing it. You can strip one side and wrap. It may be a little bit easier to get the throat that you're looking for. I am just going to try and do it without stripping one side. And to do that, we'll take it and we'll just fold it. When you fold it, as you wrap, try to draw it back so it stays parallel with the hook shank as much as you possibly can keep it. That'll give you a better chance at having that nice throat. If you don't keep it parallel to the hook shank, you can wind up with some really bad curling that just doesn't look very good. But if you're putting it in your fly box, it doesn't really matter. Fish aren't going to complain about that. So keeping this as more of a collar than a throat, I am going to pull it down just a little bit. And then just pinch it just a bit. And there, we've got a nice straight throat there. Now the wing construction is rather simple. If you look at my last video, the Blue Doctor. I did go through how to build the mixed wing. This one I am also doing as a mixed wing, so have a look at that. I will put the link in the description below. I'm sorry if the link doesn't work. I have to figure out exactly how to make that work with YouTube. Hopefully it does, but if not, you may have to put the link in, or just go to my channel and actually look at the last video, which would be the Cork Collection Blue Doctor. So this one is a little bit different colors. This is red, orange, and yellow. The book says swan, but I'm using goose shoulder. Goose shoulder is softer, it's easier to work with, and motion in the water is great. So it's those, it's golden pheasant tail, a slight bit of golden pheasant tippet down the middle of the wing, and then teal or bustard. In this case, I'm using teal. And just do a quick loop, somewhat loose over it. Do a second, and just kind of wiggle it. Let the bobbin kind of pull down a little, and you can start putting a little bit of pressure on it. A little more pressure. And if you lose some fibers, it's alright. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay. It has jungle cock cheeks on it. So we'll tie those in, and what we'll do is we'll strip away some of that lower fluff. Line it up. That's a bit long. We want it to be just past that middle body segment length. So then what we'll do is we'll take our scissors and just trim away the rest. Again, just like you did with the tail, it's going to leave those little bit of barbs on there, and that's going to give your thread something to bite into, and it'll keep the jungle cock from moving on you. And you don't have to go overly tight with the jungle cock. You can just loosely wrap it right on there. We've got the jungle cock on there. A slight bit of mallard. So I'm just using just the tip of a mallard feather, that bronze mallard that was left over from doing some other married wings. And just take that and lay that right over the top, just about the length of the wing. And we'll do the same on the back side. Just lay it on there. Quick loose wrap. 2 for the back side, because if you only do 1, when you let go, it's just gonna, and you rotate the vise back, it'll just come apart. Alright, that backside mallard slipped again. Okay, so what we're going to do now is put a little bit of clear Solire on there. Let that soak in real good. You want that to get right in there, especially if you're going to fish this. You want to make sure that all those fibers stay together real well and that everything stays together at that front of that hook. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and let that dry for a few minutes. Once that's cured, we'll come back, we'll throw the topping and the head on, and that'll complete the fly. See you momentarily. Alright, I moved the camera back just a little bit so you can get a little bit of a better view. Alright, so first we're going to remove a lot of this excess here in the front. Careful not to cut the gut eye off. Sorry about that. I think I've mentioned before, I only work with about 4 to maybe 6 inches between the camera and the fly. So, if my hands get in the way, I apologize. Here's a little bit of thread zap. Hope we have enough battery left in this. This is just a cauterizer. I think she's dead. Yeah, no matter. Alright, topping is just a golden pheasant crest, which I already pulled off of that same head. So we'll size it up and then just find the where your tie-in point is going to be. And right at your tie-in point, make a little kink. I do want this to be a little straighter. There we go. Much better. So throw a little kink in there. Make sure it's the length of the wing. Perfect. Like that. Trim that little bit off. And we've already used a good amount of Solire, but I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more. Gotta be careful doing that though. At this point, especially where I'm at, I'm very, very close to the hook point. The tip of the hook is right where my fingernail ends, right there. So you could wind up having the whole wing slide right off of that. So I think I'm actually just going to work with wax. So to do that, I take my ball of wax and I just use a lighter and I heat it up on one side. Now, I don't see many people that do this, but I do like this technique. It does work well for me. And then take that and run that right down your thread, and as you can see, you get a good amount of wax onto your thread. And then when you get to the clumps of wax, you can crisscross it right across the front of that head. Cross right over, cross right across. And if you have a little excess, you can take that and just kind of mold that around the front. And that'll help you form a nice solid head that'll hold everything in place and keep it all on there when you fish. And you can wrap back a little bit from the head. Grab your whip finisher. Now it's up to you. I'm going to do a whip finish. You can either put either Sally Hansen's or Soleil or some sort of varnish or head cement onto your thread before you make your knot, and that'll ensure that that knot stays right where you put it. Or do what I did. Add another coat of Soleil Clear. And add that right above the head and over the head. Cover the head up nicely. It's alright if you get it into the feather a little bit. And Soleil will actually soak in and dissipate a little bit. It's not going to turn into a hard clump in the throat or the wing. And then once that dries, you can go ahead and add some black varnish or black Soleil to the head to finish that off. So we'll just take this and pinch that wing down a little bit. And for the wing, just take a brush, very gently brush it out. Not a lot, not like some of the other flies have done, just enough to kind of separate some of them fibers and give it a little bit more volume. Okay. And there we have it. That is my version of the Hardy's Brora salmon fly. It's not exactly like the photo, but I think it's rather close, and I do like it. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you do like it, let me know. If you don't, and there's something about it that you don't like, please leave it in the comment section. I'd really like to know. And any insight that you might have, some of you more experienced tyers out there that follow the channel, if you've got any more insight into it, more about the pattern or something you do differently, leave it in the comment section. That way others that do read the comments that follow the channel can also learn from that. But that being said, this is my version of it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, think about subscribing, and keep your post notifications on so that way when I do post new videos, you'll get a notification and you'll be the first to be able to watch it. All that being said, have yourselves a wonderful afternoon, evening, or day, depending on where in the world you are, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.